JC Tickets provides first-class trips to Ravens road games, including airfare, 4-star hotels, game tickets, and cocktail parties. We also help provide great seating locations to all Ravens home games. JC Tickets, where the games begin. Visit us at jctickets.net.
Ravens Wrap is sponsored by Bud Light, jctickets.net, Geico Insurance, Dunaway Furniture, Ocean City Golf Club, RussellStreetReport.com, Comfort Inn Gold Coast, Holiday Inn Express, the original Green Turtle, hosted by the Blue Ox Bar and Grill.
And welcome back. It's the original Green Turtles Ravens Wrap Show right here on Comcast Beach TV and Delmarva's Rock Radio, the strongest Ravens signal affiliate on Delmarva, 93.5 The Beach. Mike Bradley along with you, John Garrick, that is, Mayor Rick Meehan. Sorry about that. It's been a while since I've pronounced your name. Buck Mann as well here, broadcasting from the Ravens Room, 127th Street and Coastal Highway inside the Blue Ox. And, hey, we make it more than worth your while to come on down to the show. We give away Ravens tickets, among other giveaways as well. Many of our fine sponsors hook us up with giveaways for you, the audience. So come on down every Wednesday. Doors open at 5 with food and Bud Light specials. The show starts at 7. And, again, Ravens tickets to give away, courtesy of our friends at jctickets.net. We're continuing the conversation on the 24-18 loss. The Ravens losing to the Cleveland Browns for the first time going back since 2007. Although, as we were talking off the air a little bit, certainly the win that the Ravens had against the Browns at home was not one that was by a wide margin by any length of the imagination with that. That was a close one. But you figured at some point, though, that in a divisional game that the Ravens were going to lose, and it so happened to be up in Cleveland this past Sunday. You know, one of the things, John, though, that's interesting about this team, even though they're 3-5, as I mentioned last week's show was the first time since 2008, going into the Dolphins game, that I've done this show, you've done this show in the last 5 years with a losing record, with a below 500 record. But Peter Schmuck had an article in the Baltimore Sun earlier this week that said that we can talk about all the Ravens' issues, and there are a lot, and they're fair to point out. But do you know the difference between their current 3-5 record, where they are right now, in third place, and a 6-2 mark that the Bengals have would put them in front of the first place Bengals is 11 points. 11 points. They've had a lot of close losses this year with the team. But, you know, that's the difference, though. It's a razor-thin margin, John, of error in the NFL, and you've got to do the little things. And when you look at 25th in the league in penalties, when you look at a run game that's the worst in the league, well, that is a big thing. That's not a little thing. You're just not going to win ball games.
What does $120 million, whatever it was, what does that buy you? Does that buy you 11 points?
Should.
I think it probably should buy you 11 points. 12 points, 12 points. We're 6-2, and that's, what is that, 10 million a point? I think that's not too bad. So, I mean, it's clear, when you watch a guy like Nick Foles come out and throw 7 touchdown passes, that doesn't happen by accident. And you look at what he does, and he hits guys in stride. He delivers the balls on time. He lets his receivers make plays. He's accurate. He's pinpoint accuracy all over the field. And it's not about arm strength, and it's not about how tall you are. And this is where Drew Brees and all these types of guys, Doug Flutie even was a midget. He could deliver the ball on time. You know what I mean? A little person. But when you deliver the ball on time and you hit guys in stride, they make plays. And in the NFL, when everybody's a premier elite athlete, everybody you're going against is getting paid as well. You need to make the plays. They had 2 weeks to practice the first play of the game. All right, they knew they were going to run 2 or 3 plays when they went up to the line of scrimmage. They knew 2 weeks to run. They knew this first play. They knew it was going to be one of 2 or 3 plays. It was a pass play, and Joe, 8-yard pass. He should have been able to put a blindfold on, take a 3-step drop, and deliver the ball and hit the guy in his body somewhere. It was behind him on the ground. I mean, there was no. What is going on in practice? What's going on with his preparation? He's just wildly inaccurate, which is why Pitta and Bolton is a big deal. They made so many spectacular catches for Joe that if he doesn't get accurate, guys, the Ravens are just never. They're going to need superstar receivers for him.
Well, and this is a game that Jason Campbell clearly outplayed Joe Flacco. And I don't care what the numbers say, 24-41 for Flacco, 250, 2 touchdowns, an interception. He missed a lot of open receivers that he should have hit. And I'll just say this. I thought up until the Pittsburgh game, and even the Pittsburgh game, I thought he did okay, but he missed that pass to Jones, which he can't miss being a $120 million quarterback. But last week's game, I've got to say it's the first time we're saying, hey, Joe Flacco now needs to be accountable. We can talk about all the other issues, and there are a lot of them, but now Joe Flacco has to be accountable because now he has been a part of the problem over the last 2 games, in my opinion. But what did you see, Rick?
Yeah, I think that's true, and you have to look at the receivers they have out there too. I mean, Torrey Smith, he had Joe Hayden on him, and Hayden basically was all over Torrey Smith. He caught a couple short passes. He caught that one deep pass, like we were saying during the break, where I think Cleveland was on their way to the tunnel 30 seconds before halftime. It was really the only time they had a breakdown on defense, and he caught that one pass. Other than that, and he's the main receiver, and you shut him down, Flacco's got to be able to find the other options, and he's not finding them. And if he does, as you said, he's not delivering the ball where they can catch it.
And it's not just about a completion, guys. This is about delivering the ball on time and hitting the receiver in a place where he's able to then make a play, where he's able to then break a tackle. That's what we saw with the Eagles this week. I mean, you just look at that. These guys make one guy miss. That's their job. When they get the ball in their hand, you need to make one guy miss and off to the races. And Buck, that's what they go. But Joe doesn't deliver a ball, so it may be a 15-yard completion. But to me, that's a minus for Joe, especially when you're getting paid, because your job is to hit them on time.
Everybody in town that I've talked to is so down right now, with a 3 and 5. If you remember last year, the Redskins at the same time were 3 and 5. Then he win 7 out of the last 8 games and end up winning the division. So Flacco turns it around, starts hitting the receivers like John says. The defense has got to pick up some. I saw a lot of weakness on that side, and don't give up.
Oh yeah, they're the champs. I mean, they do have a pedigree to win. But you talk about good locker rooms and bad locker rooms, Mike. That's all about winning and losing. It's it's not vice versa. When you're winning, it's a good locker room, and when you're losing, it's a bad locker room, and it can easily get out of control if they don't start winning. So they're pros. They've won a title recently, and they can turn it around.
Well, there's no question. I mean, I think for the true fans, no one's giving up with the team. There's still a lot of talent there, but I think the one thing you'd like to see is, okay, just some market improvement. I thought we saw some improvement in the Steelers game, in the run game. They made some adjustments, some more man-blocking schemes, back to some of the things they did last year, maybe adjusting some of the techniques from what they were taught initially by Juan Castillo. And we saw some good things. Did not see that. And with all due respect, because the Browns' front 7, folks, is very good. They've got a lot of highly invested draft picks that this year have started to come around. I believe that they were 6th against the pass coming in, 12th against the run. So that was a very good front 7. They look like a top 5 run defense against us. But you want to see some market improvement, Buck. We haven't seen it yet, but the talent is there. I mean, to see an undrafted guy like Marlon Brown, he had a good game, 2 touchdowns. We know Joe can throw the football, but it's getting the accuracy, getting a consistent basis. We've had the argument, but Jacoby Jones has done nothing but make plays for this team. And early on, to your point, Joe throws behind him. When he has a chance, he's wide open against her, wide open. And yards after the catch could have been had, and he throws it behind him. So Joe's got to step up.
And when you have speed,
which he does.
I mean, that could be a touchdown. And that's the difference between being good and great, or just being average, or being 3 and 5 and 5 and 3. I mean, that's 7 points. We're talking about 11 points. That's 7 points because they wind up punting the ball. I mean, that could have been a touchdown.
Yeah, and they don't really have Ray Rice active in the passing game. They've got to get him the ball. If he's not going to be able to run the ball, if they're not going to be able to make the holes, or he's not going to be able to hit the holes, they can set that up by getting the ball to him in the flat. They got to get him involved. Let him catch the ball, take it, and run with it. I mean, that's what he's really good at.
Well, and Buck, from an outsider's point of view here, Ray Rice, now granted, we talk about the running game all we want and the lack of holes for not only him but Bernard Pierce, but Ray Rice, and even before the hip flexor injury, he may not be 100%, he does not look like the same back. He is missing something.
He's missing openings. He's missing that last second cut.
Right. Yeah. He can't shed tackles.
He looks a little like Jamal doing his shuffle.
Oh, does that mean they're going to trade him to Cleveland? That means they're going to trade him to Cleveland, right?
That's right. You can have him, the Browns become the Ravens, and then the Ravens become the Browns.
Yeah, well, that's we don't
We'll
wanna
give
see
them
that
all
anymore.
back. Once we're done with them,
Maybe we
decide.
get Bobby Rainey back.
That's right.
For Ray Rice. Well, let's talk about the defense a little bit. I mean, coming off that Steelers game in a bye, John, certainly the run defense came to play. 2.6 yard average for Cleveland, just 73 rushing yards on 28 carries. So our run defense came to play against a very good offensive line. They may not have the backs, but that offensive line all in all is pretty good despite some injuries that they've suffered. So we did a good job there all in all. But in the passing game, just too much. And Lardarius Webb is still not the same guy he was before the ACL injury. He's still coming back. I think that's taken longer than we thought. We're just not seeing the same production out of a Corey Graham this year. And, Jimmy Smith, I thought he had a halfway decent game the other day, but, he's had his inconsistent ride this year with the team.
Yeah, and, the defense, in this league, the way the rules are and everything, the offenses are going to score points. Look, Cleveland's a solid team. They're solid everywhere. You were talking about they have a solid defense. We're talking about they have a solid offensive line. They have a solid receiving core. Even their third-string quarterback is pretty solid. So, the Browns are not a bad squad. The defense kept the Ravens in the game. The Ravens had a shot to win that game. So we can't hold hold the defense accountable too much on that. But, they're just, it came out, Suggs gets a sack on the first play of the game. Look, I was telling my dad, I was watching with my father, I said, one thing about Campbell is he doesn't get sacked too often, and then boom, right out of the gate he gets sacked. But guys, it's when your offense doesn't score, you're not going to win too many games. That's the new NFL.
Name of the game.
Yeah. Well, and I thought with the Browns you saw a lot of too tight formations to make it tougher to get after the passer, although we did have 3 sacks, so they did accumulate. But I thought Campbell had some pretty good time back there, but that was based formationally. But then that also means there's less receivers out there, but they won their one-on-one battles and got it done against the defense, which did play well. But here's the one issue in the games that they seem to play well in, even Green Bay. But when they need to get a stop, they don't get a stop. That last drive, they did not get a stop.
Yeah, so sometimes you need to make a play, like you said, you need to make a play on time. And they didn't. But I tell you one thing, Rick, I just like saying the name Foz, Fozzie Whitaker.
Whitaker.
The Foz.
You like him?
They need to do
I'm not really sure where Fozzie Whitaker came from, but they're starting to put him in there a little bit. He's got a burst of speed. He had one real good play there against the Ravens the other day, but their running game is pretty much, Mike, that's pretty much what it's been all year. I don't know if it was the great defense on their running game, because that's about all they've been able to do against anybody all year long.
Yeah.
So that really puts a lot of pressure on Campbell, puts a lot of pressure on his receivers, but he's spreading the ball around, and when somebody's covered, he's got options because he does have a very deep receiving core.
More of the Ravens Wrap Show to come on Comcast Beach TV and 93.5 The Beach. We're back next.
What's this all about?
We're giving Rich the NFL experience of a goal line dive.
Really?
There's an easier way to get an ultimate NFL fan experience. Just snap the tag wherever Bud Light is sold and you could win. Bud Light in the NFL. Here we go.
Can I make it?
On the internet, yes. Into the end zone, no.
Come see us at Blue Off.
JC Tickets provides first-class trips to Ravens road games, including airfare, 4-star hotels, game tickets, and cocktail parties. We also help provide great seating locations to all Ravens home games. JC Tickets, where the games begin. Visit us at jctickets.net.